Yo, this is Never Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
Hey, I told you guys! Don't go man! Just one game! All I've heard for the last 5 weeks is we want Dallas! So all you haters, you come down to me! You fuel the fire! Because I want it! Are you ready? Hey, you dig it!
What is up? Welcome to another edition of Tag Nation. Your boy Mike Tag. I've been on a little working trip, so I don't want you guys to think I've been hiding after the loss. I had some business to do. You guys saw I was in Dallas for the game. Had a great time with Marcus Spears, and doing a little side work, little side business, little hustle, pay these bills. So, but no, I just did it for a lot of fun. It was a good time. So from there, I had to take a plane back Monday, and I had to drive over to the East Coast of Florida for some work. So hadn't been able to get on. My boy Jimmy D was filling in on Monday. He took care of that business. But now I got to get talking about the Cowboys. And if I'm going to be talking about the Cowboys, of course, I got to bring in my man Kelly K-9. But before I do, we messed up. We had some technical issues. Do not forget, tomorrow, 8 o'clock, we're going to be giving away this bad boy sign right there. You can see it. Signed by Micah Parsons, Defensive Rookie of the Year inscription. We hit that goal. I'm all about setting goals. So we hit the goal with subscribers. We appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And so we're going to give it away, and it's really simple. You just got to be on. If you're on the show, I'm going to put a little code out there for you guys to call in. Whoever calls in with the answer of a little trivia question, you guys will get it. So without any further ado, let's bring in my man Kelly K-9 because we got lots to talk about. What is up, my man? How you doing?
What's going on, Big Mike?
Oh, nothing, man. I appreciate you jumping on.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna get right to it, but before, go ahead. I mean, I know everyone knows where to find you. You're everywhere. You've taken over TikTok. You're taking over Twitter and all this stuff. I hope you get as much hate as I do on there. But
Oh, yeah.
tell the folks where they can find you.
Yeah, so at Kelly K9 on that's on Twitter, and then on man, my handle on I got to come up with a shorter handle, but it's at Kelly K9 and then _1980 on TikTok. It was a lot longer, and then I shortened it, but it's still a little long, so it's hard to remember that sometimes. But that's the TikTok, and then always on Twitter. So
yeah, well, you do some crazy stuff on Twitter, some funny stuff, and I enjoy it. It always bring a smile to my face. But before we get to that, we're gonna get into a little social media stuff because I gotta pick your brain. So you know what happens. We're Cowboy fans, right? We do some fun stuff for the Cowboys for the love of the team and the passion we have. So are you getting as much hate as I always get, and how do you handle it?
Yeah, I do. Some of the stuff I just don't respond to. You know what I mean? I let a lot of it, but I do respond, and I do give some of it back, and try not to get suspended in the process. So yeah, I mean, I just some of it is just kind of good natured. It's part of it. You know what I mean? You're gonna get the fans, positive comments and stuff on it, but you're always gonna get. It doesn't matter how positive you are. It doesn't matter the message that you have, how positive is it. There's always going to be people coming at you. So, just not to take it too personal. And, I'll throw some things back. And sometimes the language may get a little bit salty, but, if you can dish it, you better be able to take it. So I can dish it and take it. So I'm good with it.
Absolutely. But I remember when I first started, so it was like I think the 2018 season when I posted like my first one that I used to do, and it was all done as a joke. And then Tank Lawrence retweeted it, so then it just kind of blew up from there. Man, that year I used to get, I still get hate, but that used to bother me. So you'd go through a wave, right? The first, probably hour or two, you get all this positive love, so you're feeling good. And then you start getting some of the hate. And then when they lose, then it's an onslaught of just, and so I would just sit there all night and I'd reply to every single one of them.
Yeah.
And and so many times, then I have to delete it because I'd start getting a little X-rated, and then like, I better not do that. And then I, start thinking about it. But it used to drive me nuts. But now Twitter hasn't gotten as bad. But TikTok, man, them 14-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids, they're ruthless. They are ruthless on me. I've been called every name in the book, called old man. Someone called me, which I've gotten it when I was younger, the guy who was on Jerry Maguire. They said look like him. Some guy called me, which the only one that offends me is someone calls me a wannabe the Skip Bayless. Which I take a lot of offense at because I hate that some bitch, and he ain't no Cowboys fan.
No.
He's just making the money off the name.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's been some pretty corny insults. There's also been some that, it's hard. You look at it and at first you're like, you get kind of pissed, and then you're like, well, most of the people that say all that stuff though, they don't have a profile picture. They got a bunch of numbers at the end of their name and stuff. And I know that those are just people that's what they look for. They look for that negative reaction. They're trying to ruin your day. They're trying to bring you down. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing just because a few people are going to, talk a little bit of shit to me. Cause I've heard way worse. And most of these people are not people that are going to say that to your face anyway. So at the end of the day, just let them talk behind the keyboard. We keep doing what they're doing. They're coming to our page. They're coming they're coming to your post. They're coming to my post. We ain't coming to them. You know what I mean? So there's a reason they're coming our way. They're seeing what we're doing. And, most of that I believe is out of a little bit of envy because they're like, these guys are getting this or whatever. But hey, man, if don't knock the hustle.
That's right. And if you're commenting, that means you're watching.
Yeah.
And some of the comments I could tell they watch pretty deep. So they're doing me a favor. They're doing you a favor. And I love good ribbon, man. I'm from the era, what I would say the last great era. We grew up cracking on each other. That was a way of life. I mean, there was no boundaries in what we said. I've been called every name in the book and I've given it back, and we're buddies. We just do that. So a little bit more sensitive world we live in today, but so I'm used to it. I got thick skin, and like you said, if you're gonna dish it out, you got to take it. So,
absolutely.
So let's get into it. So I didn't get. And what's up, man, Hector? Good evening. Let's get into it. We're gonna put to bed the Philly game. So there was a lot of hype. Now I got a lot of negative comments from Philly fans because I was honest about it. This game, to me, Philly wanted a hell of a lot more than Dallas. The fans wanted it more. Obviously, looking at the coach, he wanted it. He wanted it real bad. The players wanted, because they've been embarrassed by Dallas, right? I was at most of those games. Last 3 years, we pretty much embarrassed them every time we played them at home, and unfortunately for them on the road. So they really wanted it. We were playing what everyone likes to call house money. Cooper Rush was doing his thing, but you could see the decline. That's why I used to laugh at people with the quarterback controversy. You'd see that decline every week. So I think in our hearts we wanted the Cowboys to win, but in our mind I think we'd be fooling ourselves to say that we're overly confident or that we'd win the game. So what is your thoughts? What was your initial thoughts of the game, how it played out? And kind of, is this concern you with the Cowboys moving forward? Or are you looking at it like, it was a little maybe expected and they're going to work from that?
Yeah. So, for me, it was a little, I don't ever like to come out and say that I think we're going to lose against Philadelphia, but I was more nervous about that game than I was any other game, just because I knew that Philadelphia's defense other than Tampa, was probably the best defense that we would have faced, at least with Cooper Rush at quarterback position. So, I was pretty nervous about that game. I did feel like that was a game that was going to be very hard to win, and it would have, it would have been a cherry on top of the sundae for me if we could have won that game, just because of what it would have meant to be like, all right, look, we beat Philadelphia in their house with our backup QB. You wouldn't have been able to shut me up if that would have happened.
Yeah,
because I would have been over the top on that. But when we lost, and I looked at it, after the game was over, and kind of, after I let the emotions die down and stuff, I looked at that game and I thought, it was honestly lost by some poor quarterback play. I mean, Rush turned the ball over 3 times, and we started off, we were down, 20-0 at the half, and then turned around and we only allowed 6 points the second half. So when I saw, the second half play out, we kind of clawed and got our way back into that game. I thought, man, if we'd had better quarterback play, we win that game.
Yeah.
And, do I think that Dak Prescott would have played better? Yes, I do. I've thought that every single game that I've watched. I've thought that Rush has done admirable as a backup QB. He's come in, he's done way more than what I thought he would have done, but he's not a Dak Prescott, and he's not that caliber of QB. And every week you're watching going, man, if this defense wasn't playing lights out, if this defense wasn't playing at an elite level, like, we ain't winning these games. You know what I mean? We're probably not winning any of them. And we've got some quality wins. You know what I mean? Beat a team, the Giants, that only got 1 loss. Beat a Rams team, and they may be struggling a little bit offensively, but that's still a very talented squad. Cincinnati's getting their season turned around. So, like, it's not like we've been beating scrub teams. We've been beating some solid teams, and that was a close loss, divisional loss on the road. At the end of the day, I don't really feel very bad about it. It was very easy for me to get over this loss. I would have felt a lot worse had it been Dak Prescott starting, and then they beat us and they just, smacked us around like we did them twice last year. So,
well, let's just talk about it. Realistically, the Eagles, their last 2 wins, the last 2 times they beat Dallas was against our backups. So let's call that for what it is, number one. So,
right.
But I'll give them credit. But I also, to your point, I agree. It's look at the way we ran the ball against them. I think we're averaging like 6 yards a clip or something like that. Yep. They ran the ball effectively. That one drive was a killer, but it wasn't like they were dominating with the run. I don't even know if they were averaging 4 yards a carry against the run. Hurts was a 50%, completion percentage or somewhere like that. They didn't do a whole lot. And hey, you got to give them credit. They make the plays. I've said it a million times, so I cannot say it when we lose. I'll never apologize for a win, and they shouldn't either. They won the game. You got to play with the guys that you got. But to your point, the quarterback play, I mean, that was a killer. And I was hoping when they came back and it was 2017, I was like, you know what, maybe we pull this out, and it would have been the greatest. Your post game would have been the greatest. Mine would have been the second greatest because I was just waiting and salivating if they do it. Because I know what you do. You save all that crap that people talk, and it just kind of unleashes, and it would have been so epic. And I don't know if they would have recovered. That's what I mean by they wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
You saw the way the coach was on the sidelines after the game. The fan, they wanted this one bad, and if they didn't get it, they probably would have. It probably I don't know how they would have recovered. So the interesting thing is with Philly is I saw someone put revenge on Christmas Eve. So I hope we're both healthy. I'm not one of these guys that want to play a depleted team. If we want to be the best, we got to beat the people on top. And right now the Eagles are. So I have, as you know, I have season tickets, and the Eagles game is not on my list because it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
But so I have them on StubHub. So I jacked the price up on StubHub because in my heart, I'm like, you know what? If this means something, I've already laid the groundwork. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I said, my son, our son needs a Christmas present. So maybe I'll sneak out on Christmas Eve, take him, and come home Christmas Day. So I'm holding out. I'm holding those tickets out. If someone wants to pay what I have them listed for, then I guess it's meant to be. But I'm still holding out hope that might make that because I love watching those Eagles and AT&T and us slapping them around. And I think with a healthy team, I think we beat them. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And and the thing is that even when Dak comes back, they said he's ready. They said he's healthy, ready to go versus Detroit. I don't think he'll be 100% for a couple of weeks. I think it'll take him, without him playing in the preseason. I thought that was something that contributed to to what we saw versus Tampa. So I think it's going to take a little bit to kind of get him in rhythm. I don't think he'll come back right away and just play like gangbusters. Detroit's a hell of a game to get him back against. Yeah. But when we play Philadelphia on the 24th of December, I think they're going to see this team at full strength. I think barring any, major injuries or anything like that, you're going to see this team roll in, and you're going to see this team hot. I mean, because they're talking about getting, even a couple more guys. I heard that Damon Clark is getting ready to make his debut. He's getting closer and closer. So you got another, guy that's a playmaker there. That's a guy I'm excited to see on the field. James Washington should be back by then. You never know. I keep hearing the name. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I keep hearing the name floated out. You've got Odell Beckham that's kind of out there now. Whether the Cowboys are interested, I don't know, but a guy like that could add some pop to the offense. So there's still a lot of things that'll play out, but I'm excited to see what this team looks like December 24th, because I feel like we're going to be a lot better and the results are going to be a lot different than what we saw in Philly.
Oh, no, I agree. And that's the thing, getting these guys back. So, like you said, you're getting Dak back. It's gonna, that was my worry too with Dak, is if they rushed him back for Philly. And I thought that what Cooper Rush did and what the defense really did more than Cooper Rush is they held the fort down to really give it a luxury. Because when it happened and he was going to come back against, maybe Detroit or maybe Chicago, whatever, I figured we're going to win 2 games. So for us to be 4-2, I would have taken that all day long, every day. Now, of course, you'd rather take your loss in the AFC versus the NFC, but it is what it is. But I think the team's coming back. I think the Calvary is getting there. Our defense. So, even like Jabril Cox, he hasn't been able to even see the field. And I think he's got a lot of talent. So we're deep. And that's the one thing I want to ask you. So going into the season, there was a lot of people, a lot of anger in Cowboys Nation. I don't know I know you were angry in a little bit. You and I came on and we worked it out. Maybe I changed mine a little bit or what, but there was a lot of angst with what this team has. And now looking at it, how are you feeling about the group that we have? Because like you said, the Rams, it's the one thing I hate about the haters and they hate the Cowboys. Every time we beat a team, we never beat anybody. The Rams were the defending Super Bowl champions. They spent all this money, right? All we heard was this team, they're all in. We're not all in. They're all in. They're spending all this money. They're getting all these guys. And so they were loaded. They didn't have any catastrophic injuries. We beat them. Bengals, defending Super Bowl champs. They're retooling their offensive line. They're going to make all this stuff. Well, how did that work out? Lyle Collins and all that. So, I always hate that we never beat anybody. Unfortunately, I guess whenever we beat them, we don't. So, but what's your kind of thoughts on that, kind of feeling you get?
I feel like that, looking back on it, I was concerned about the offense. I was concerned about the offensive line, and man, hats off again to this to the talent evaluators on the Dallas Cowboys, man, because they're proven time and time again that they're good at what they do. And they're being smart about it, because now you're looking at it and you're like, well, shoot, we're going to need this money to pay a guy like Diggs, an upcoming contract for Parsons. Both of those guys are going to probably break the bank, and we're gonna want them on this defense for many years to come. So we're gonna have to pay them. So you look at it and you're like, well, man, they were cheap on everything that they did, but this offense doesn't look that bad. Now you're looking at the Tyler Smith pick, and you're like, man, this dude is. The Cowboys just hit home run after home run when it comes to offensive linemen. Granted, Connor Williams might have been a little bit of a miss there, but overall, when they draft offensive linemen, Cowboys just don't seem to miss. They've had some great draft picks recently. Even a guy like Steele that they got in the late rounds, he's turning out to be, solid across that offensive line. So they've done a great job. We're running the ball. We're back to doing what I think the Cowboys, what helps them win. It was the winning formula in Dak's rookie season, 2016, run the ball, play action pass, play good defense. Difference being this defense is light years better than the one in 2016. And, people talked about all the turnovers they got last year and saying we had a good defense last year. We did, but that defense last year still gave up a lot of points. This defense has just locked it down. The Cowboys got the right kind of players. And I think they're at the beginning of the season, I didn't have a whole lot of hope, but I thought, man, when it comes time to playoffs, I was like, yeah, we might be able to win the NFC East or get in off a wild card or something like that. But I didn't have much hope once we got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now my perspective has changed. I feel like this team's set up that they could do something special. I don't want to be one of them fans that start saying we're winning the Super Bowl this year. But when you look at that defense, it's hard not to, because that defense is just clamping people down. And yeah, I understand that Philly, they just scored 26 points on us. But here's the thing, like, we gave them 3 turnovers. We turned the ball over 3 times. Take those 3 turnovers away, and that's a different ball game to a team that was undefeated. And, I mean, like you said, a win's a win. It is what it is with Philly. Not trying to discredit them. I'm just saying I don't think that we played up to our potential. I think that we have our ceiling. We haven't seen the ceiling yet with this team, with this defense, with this offense. So I'm highly encouraged by what I've seen this season so far.
Yeah, and I agree with on the defense, and I had mentioned it before. This defense can travel, and that's when come playoff time, you kind of saw it with the Niners. You got to give them credit. I mean, I was one to say we're going to bully the bully, but that didn't work. They slapped us around, and I think that that's what this defense is getting is an attitude. I know, people, they didn't like what Diggs, the emotion he showed in the end zone. I didn't have any issues with it. Parsons, I didn't have an issue with the emotions that he showed. Of course, you want them to control it a little bit. We don't want the 15-yard, but to me, that's football. Football's an emotional game. I never understand these penalties they give, for taunting and things like that. That's a whole nother subject. But this team's got attitude. This defense has got attitude. That's what you need. And I tell you, we were 12-5, last year, offense, that was number one, they say. But I mean, you and I both know we saw those games. That wasn't the number one offense in the league. They had spurts against the Redskins or Washington against the Giants where they put up 50 plus and this and that. But when you saw it, when they faced a defense that was, that was good and above average, they struggled. And so I think the offense gets back to the running game, like you said. Get back to that. We're running the ball very well. Zeke's running the ball well. Pollard's running the ball well. We're getting things going. It's working off, the receivers, and obviously Jake Ferguson. We'll get in a little bit with him, but that's the winning formula. Don't limit your mistakes. Play good defense. Control the clock and score when you get the opportunities on offense. And that's what it seems like they're doing. So if they're, let Philly win the division. Personally, it don't mean nothing no more. I mean, look at it. How many number one seeds, and that's all you get at a bye as a number one seed. If you're two or later, it don't matter. I want to see this team fight to the end. I want it to be a dog fight for the playoffs, and that's going to make them mentally ready.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point about the Diggs and Diggs and Parsons showing that emotion. One of my favorite sayings that I've heard, and I'm not even sure who said it, so I can't really credit them. But you have to hate losing more than you love to win. And I feel like that's the attitude that those guys had on the field. They cannot stand losing, and I love that in a player like that. And I love that Parsons afterwards said that he thought that he let the defense down. I don't think that he did, but I love that attitude because I feel like his standard, the standard that he holds himself to, he holds that entire defense to that standard. And I feel like, he gets, he gets a lot of lofty praise, and they talk about, LT and the Michael Jordan comparisons. But I mean, I see it. Great players throughout the course of history elevate the play of the people around them. And Parsons has elevated the play of that defense. Everybody, you see it. They play with swagger. They play with an attitude. They play with the, that violent aggression. Like I love it. You know what I mean? And I think that those young players like Diggs and Parsons, those are the guys that are like, you know what? Hey, we lost this game and we didn't play well enough. They felt like they let us down, and they want to play harder next week. Like that's an attitude that you want through all 53 on the roster. Like that's what you want to see. Yeah. So, while like you said, I mean, the 15-yard penalty, you kind of got to button that thing up a little bit, but don't mind seeing that emotion at all, man. Those are guys that are very passionate about their craft, and they're gonna hit the practice field hard this week. And hey, good luck, Jared Goff.
That's what I'm saying. And I tweeted it, like Monday or whatever. And I believe it. I think this game is could be one of those defining turning points, for the Cowboys. It was they're obviously upset. There was a lot of emotion. There was some fisticuffs, you had all the stuff going on outside. I think it could be something that brings that team together. There was a lot of outside. I mean, geez, you got to hear it every single freaking day about Dak and, quarterback and what are they going to do this. So, there's just so much that was going on that this almost kind of would bring the team together even more. So we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, they lay an egg against Detroit, you can come back and say, well, the turning point was probably Detroit. It turned south. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think, I think if you look at their schedule, the way it's set up with Dak. Now, I think I would, you may do the same, but I would caution Cowboys Nation, don't expect Dak to just come out there and he's throwing for 75% completion percentage, throws up 4 touchdowns, no picks and this and that. He's going to have to work through, right? I mean, it's, you got to get back into it. But again, we got the defense to do it. We got the running game to do it. So hopefully Kellen Moore sticks to the script. And I know, McCarthy, who I know a lot of people hate him. Maybe I'm the only fan of his, but I've seen what this guy has done, with the team and everything through a lot of adversity this guy's faced. And he got in Kellen Moore's ass a little bit and did it publicly about some of the things he needs to play call. So if he could stick to the script, I think this team is kind of getting ready to go on that run.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You just look at the way that we've been running the ball. There's no reason to go away from it. I mean, it's worked. It's worked. And it was working in Philly, and it would have worked in Philly. I mean, but you can't turn the ball over 3 times to anybody. I mean, and think that, the outcome is going to be in your favor. I mean, when you start turning the ball over, but as long as you got ball security and you can run the ball like that, they don't need to change anything up with Dak Prescott. They don't need to get cute. They don't need to get what they were doing in Tampa when they start trying to run them stupid little double reverses and shit like that. Just, hey, give the ball to Zeke, give the ball to Pollard, mix it up between those two. And then when you got that defense sucked in and they're all playing up and loading up that box, play action pass and hit CD over the top or Michael Gallup. You know what I mean? Let's stick to the script. And that play that CD was open on where Rush threw the interception, he short armed it. Yeah, he had a little bit of pressure in his face, but I feel like Dak gets that ball out to CD, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's a touchdown. So I mean, I think that we got we're gonna be fine. That offense is gonna be fine. But yeah, I agree with you. Dak's gonna need to shake off a little bit of rust, but I think this is a good game to do it against Detroit. Because
it is. And Jimmy Johnson used to tell Michael Irvin all the time, "Don't be cute, be good."
Yep,
so
that's right.
That's all they got to do. Now, let me get on to the next one because we got one of the comments. Give Pollard more snaps. So I hear this a lot. I looked at the ratio and I look at what it is. I think the mix is where it needs to be. I think what Zeke does, he's a bruiser, and then you got Pollard for the pop. But if you look at Pollard, when you get him going too many plays, it seems like he gets stuffed a lot. And then really more importantly, he almost got his quarterback killed on a few plays. Pass protection is not his forte. So I think the split is pretty good. I mean, do you agree, or do you think Pollard needs?
I do agree. I thought last year that definitely people should have been banging the table for more snaps for Pollard. I know I was one of those people.
Yeah.
But I think this year, when you look at the ratio, I think it's a whole lot better. I mean, even in Pollard's career back at Memphis, he wasn't a guy that ran the ball 20 to 30 times a game. He just wasn't. He's not one of those kind of backs. He's a change of pace back. He's I've said this. I lost count of how many times I've said it, but they remind Zeke and Dak remind me of what the Saints had when they had Kamara and Ingram. Ingram was your big bruising back like Zeke that you could give him those carries. He was he's a good blocker. He was gonna get those tough yards. And then when the defense has been getting their heads pounded in all game long and they're not and they're tired and they're getting gassed, that's when you hit him with Pollard and a hole opens up and he's gone for 75 yards. I mean, it's the perfect recipe because it's working. It's working. You look at it right now. You look what we're averaging as an offense. Yards per carry when we run the ball, it's working. I mean, you can't deny those results. I don't think you need to mess that up. And I just don't think Pollard's built to carry the ball that many times per game. And then, like you said, the pass blocking is absolute liability when you have him out there on passing plays. So, I mean, you just, it is what it is. So,
yeah. And Pollard is
another thing. The other thing I'll say too is if you look, sorry, I did cut you.
Yeah.
If you look at Zeke this year, I mean, the dude's averaging like 5 yards a carry. Like what? I don't really know what more that people want. It's not like Zeke's getting stuffed at the line. It's not like he's getting 3.3 yards. I mean, he's effective as he's ever been. He's just, they're not giving him the ball 25, 30 times, which is fine. Like,
Yeah.
let him get his 5 a carry.
Keep them, and it keeps them both fresh. It's 17 games. If you're going to the
Right.
Super Bowl, you're probably playing what 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4 more games. You're at 21 games.
Yeah,
You got 21 games. No one back is gonna be doing that nowadays. So you need them both. I think the thing that Zeke gets, and I've said this a million times, it's not just Zeke, but it's just other players. And I don't get it. I was getting ready trying to be nice and say I don't get it. These guys get a contract, and once they get paid, the fans just seem to turn on them. They don't turn never. They hardly ever turn on the owner. I've never understood how fans take the side of billionaires over millionaires. Now these players are giving up their bodies. I've had ex players on the show. Interviewed them. I love talking to the players in the 70s and 80s and things like that, and what they go through, and the lack of benefits that they get when they retire, and some of them can barely walk and do all this stuff. They're sacrificing their bodies. So if they can get paid, get paid. I don't care. I never begrudge anybody for maximizing their earning income. Now, if they're not producing, these aren't guaranteed contracts. If the owner wants to cut them, then cut them. But it don't matter to me. Like if Zeke was making 500,000, would you love him? Some of the people hate, he makes 18 million or this and that. Well, he wasn't making that his first 4 years. So
yeah.
I understand there's a salary cap, but I don't know why the fans take the money so personal. It shouldn't matter what they make. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, and Zeke's contract has not made it to where we can't field a winning team. I mean, we've got a team on the field right now paying Zeke what we're paying him right now, and we're doing just fine with it. I mean, we're looking like a team that can compete and looking like a team that's going to be a contender come towards the end of the season. So I don't really see the big deal. There's not very many, if you look at the running back landscape right now, I mean, there's not any, outside of Derrick Henry for a few years, and even him now, he's struggling and he's having injuries. And you look at Jonathan Taylor, an amazing season he had last year with the Colts, and now he's been injured and he's having injuries. Like you just it's a more physical game nowadays. The players are faster. It's just more of a bruising, and you don't have players that are like your Emmitt Smith, your Barry Sanders. You're not going to have running backs like that. So it's, to think that just because a guy's getting paid what Zeke's getting paid, that all of a sudden he's going to be able to carry the ball 30 times and rush for 2,000 yards a season, or, it's just not going to happen, and he's effective. And he's been effective this year, and he was effective last year before that injury came. Before he got that injury, but he works hard in the offseason. He's a professional. I feel like he's a great teammate. I feel like the guys in that locker room love Zeke. I feel like Dak loves Zeke. I love Zeke, man. I think he's a hell of a player, hell of a running back. Glad he's on our team. I think we got a good thing there with him and Pollard, and it's working good this year. So,
well, that's why I don't understand. It's always, it seems like some people, it's always one or the other. I mean, can't you got to have both. I mean, I don't know too many teams that don't have two running backs. So, I mean, we can beat that. We can beat that horse all day long. But it's, I feel good with the running game. I think they need to stick with it. Now, let's talk about the receivers. There was a comment, and I tried to find it, so I can't. Let's say I can't give him credit, but talking about an offseason, getting or maybe a free agent acquisition, and you talked about Odell Beckham. I agree with you. I think they need to go get someone else. I think the offense. I think Noah Brown's done a great job. He's actually. I got to eat a little crow. I thought I said, this guy, there's no way you're going to make this guy the number 2 receiver. I don't even think he's a 5. He's worked really hard. He's proven me wrong, and I'm sure he's proven some other fans wrong. But I think this team, if they can go out and get Odell, and I know some of us, we don't like Odell, all the drama and everything with the Giants and the Cowboys and all that. But I think he's changed. I think he's matured, and I saw what he did with the Rams. I think he can make a difference on this team.
He's going to make a difference for somebody, and it's not going to be a very expensive contract, because you're looking at this thing, you're bringing him in probably for just a 1-year deal. You're looking at him for a, second half of the season playoff run type deal. I'm for it. Now, if it's, if there's a lot of people that were like, if it was Odell from the Giants, no. the guy had an attitude problem. The guy was, just seemed like over the top type of personality. But you're right. When he joined the Rams, he was, when he got in with the Rams, he did. There's kind of an attitude change, and it was more about, what he could do for the team. And I thought he was a good team player with the Rams, and it seems like the guy just wants to win and be a part of a winning team. So I think he'd fit in good. I mean, he's got what it takes to take the top off of a defense, and I definitely think that would open some things up for CD. Definitely open some things up for Gallup. So yeah, I mean, if not Odell, there's probably a couple other guys that they could look at here close to the trade deadline that they could get, wouldn't have to give up a bunch for. But yeah, I've heard some stuff about Braden Cooks is unhappy down there in Houston. He's a guy you could probably get for 4th or 5th round pick or something, another speedster. So yeah, I'd like to see them make a move on offense just to kind of bolster that offense up a little bit, but I guess we'll see what happens. They say Odell's going to be ready to go here in about another 2 weeks. I think by the first week in November, he's ready to go. So it's starting to heat up. There's teams looking at him for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to go against, sometimes I'm going to go back to what I said. Remember I said I always try and, some of the hate and some of the negativity, I try and pull that out. But my man Hector, I've watched the comment, Dak sucks. Dak's below average or average, whatever it is. Why get a free? Our brilliant front office said we're okay. I'm not saying that we're not okay. I'm saying if you get the opportunity to make yourself a little better as a fan, I would take that shot. Now, the front office, I mean, people can say what they want, and I'm going to say this again. This team has the talent and has had the talent for several, go back into the Jason Garrett years to win. I don't blame Kelly, you be straight with me. If I'm wrong, you make sure you call me out on it. This team hasn't won because of lack of talent. If you want to give the front office anything, maybe it's a culture issue. It was a culture issue for all those years and what Jerry Jones has created, being a general manager, being the owner, you're kind of, there's no barrier between the two. So to me, that's always been the problem with the Cowboys. This team has been talented. I can give you several years going back to the Romo years, the early Dak years, and really all the Dak years. This team has been talented enough to win. So the culture's got to change. Now, where it's changed is with Parsons. It's with Diggs. It's if you see the way Zeke and Dak are leading, that's where the culture is starting to change these players. So that's my opinion. Yeah. Kelly, you can tell me I'm full of shit. I don't know.
Nope. I agree 100%. I definitely think Parsons came in and kind of changed this. I also think that I think Dan Quinn, his personality, and I think the way that he is, I watched that that podcast that you kind of turned me on to, the pivot with Parsons and Diggs.
Yeah.
When they talked about DQ, and they're like, he doesn't even have to say nothing to us. He doesn't he doesn't need to motivate us. He comes in, we do our work. He knows what we need to do. He gives, comes in, busts out the game plan. Like he brought a personality that I think was needed because it's that toughness, it's that grit, it's that a little bit of swagger on that defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that along with Parsons and everything, it bleeds into the offensive side. It bleeds in their personalities and even to an extent, I think, McCarthy, I don't think that he gets enough credit. A lot of people, when they talk about the job that he's done this year, because you look at when Jason Garrett, when the starting quarterback went down and Garrett was the coach, the wheels fell off.
Forget the starting quarterback. Our left tackle goes out, the wheels fell off.
Exactly.
Like that 7-sack disaster that made that dude paid, and Garrett couldn't figure out that maybe I need to put someone on that side to help him out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like if one of our starters, our impact starters, went down when Garrett was the coach, like he had no idea how to adjust, no idea what to do. And we've had player after player this year and even last year go down with Mike McCarthy's been the head coach, and he's shown he finds ways to pull it out, and you got a player come in and you're like, oh damn, like look at this guy, he stepped right in and he's doing a hell of a job. Tyron Smith went down, everybody's like, oh my God, our offensive line, they're screwed, but here they go. No preseason snaps for Tyler Smith at the left tackle position, plugged him in at left tackle, boom, the kid's probably gonna make the Pro Bowl this year. He's playing legit, he's playing great. So I mean, you just look at that and the job that those guys have done, and I think that they don't get enough credit for I feel like that they've changed some of that culture, and I feel like that it's breeding success, and that these players you can see them, some of them turning the corner and kind of mirroring their coaches, Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy, I thought he did a great job stepping in, and then with Kellen Moore kind of thing, they're like, hey, look, let's kind of rein back in some of this cute shit. Let's get to the basics here. Let's run this fucking ball and do what this Cowboys team is built to do. So hats off to them.
And my man Hector, like I said, I'm positive, but I'm a realist. And like I said, it's Jerry Jones. They got to win in spite of the culture, in spite of Jerry Jones. That's what they got to do. If you listen to Marcus Spears, he was on the pivot. If you I'll give another plug. With when he was on there, he talked about it, and he was talking about how Jerry Jones, he's too close to the players. It just creates a thing. I mean, it's just like in business or in life, you can't have, the president of the company can't be buddies, with with customer service or with warehouse. There's always those layers of management, and that's what you got to have. And with Jerry Jones, he's signing the checks, he's drafting the players, he's involved in all the things. And that's why you see him on his interview, you see that, because you usually see the GM on TV, but usually you never see the owners anywhere. But since he's a GM, he's going to do that too, and do everything that he wants. So I think they got the players that can do that. I think they got the coaches, like you said. Dan Quinn, don't want to shortchange him. He's been a heaven sent to this to this team and this defense when we went through Mike Nolan. And of course, I think McCarthy has the temperament and just the focus to kind of, he shields away all the crap, the Sean Payton stuff that was out there. And then Jerry Jones was talking about, I've forgotten the preseason, he was saying something about McCarthy. McCarthy can tune all that stuff out. He focuses on the players. And I think if you listen to Diggs and you listen to Parsons on the pivot, they talked highly of McCarthy too. There was another player who came out and was like, he's been the best coach that he's had, in his football career. So I don't think he gets a lot of credit, but yeah. So hopefully we'll get this going. I'm trying to say his speech. Let's see. I'm getting all these, we're getting a lot of comments. So let me look. And Sean Lee went down. We talked about that. When Sean Lee, you remember them days when Sean Lee'd go down, the whole damn defense would fall apart. So we don't have to deal with that anymore. We've got depth, and it's something I talked about before. Yeah. This defensive line is in waves. You're strolling out 8 deep and you're getting the same production. And that reminds me, I know I'll get yelled at for doing this. That reminds me of the teams in the 90s, because they used to roll out, not big name guys, the Jimmy Jones and the Tony Tolberts and Russell Maryland's, Chad Hennings, Tony Casillas, Charles Haley. I mean, you just go down this list and these guys were just constant. It was waves of pressure. And that's what this team has been able to do with the depth that they have. And, again, that's a credit to again, you got to give credit to the scouting. I'll give credit to Will McClay and the scouting department for the great job that they've done.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So Detroit, we'll get into that. We're having some great. So we got to talk a little about the Lions. So they're a scrappy team, right? Yeah. They got Dan Campbell. He's a former Cowboy tight end. He was on was he Giant? He always followed Parcells. So I think he was wherever Parcells was at sometimes. I like him. He's one of those scrappy coaches. He's going to get these guys to play hard. They're a physical team. They don't have the talent. I mean, obviously they've been picking up in the top for a reason, but they've got some guys that can give you a little bit of trouble. They've been running the ball pretty well. Goff is having a nice season. The receivers, I'll be straight, I had to write him down. Their leading receivers, I don't even know who the hell they are. Reynolds and St. Brown.
If you know St. Brown. Yeah.
I know that the tight end Hawkinson, I know he could be he's the guy really that we want to keep an eye on. But I mean, what do you think about this Detroit team? They're scrappy. Now they dropped 35 on Philly, so we're going to see how this goes out. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
They've got an offense that's capable of putting up some points. The only reason I know that I'm on St. Brown, I am a fantasy football player, and I actually picked him up
Oh, there
because
you go.
in one of the later rounds, and he's done some damage to some teams. Now he's been battling some injuries, and he's just coming back off an injury now. So,
Okay.
I don't think it's great for him coming off an injury against this Cowboys defense with Diggs and them boys back there. So I don't really expect him to do a whole bunch. I'm not really scared of him. You got Deandre Swift, a running back, who he's a shifty type running back, catches the ball well out of the backfield. They do some things well, but from what I've seen, and they have their head coach there, everything. It's crazy to think this, because he's a guy that preaches that hard, tough mentality. I don't see that from that team, though. I don't see that tough, hard, mentality. I don't think they're really scaring anybody. I don't think they're a physical team. They're more of it's a little bit more of a finesse type team, and their defense is one that's been exposed in the run game. I think they're allowing I know they're bottom part of the league in run.
Yeah, my man Jackson, worst
defense.
run defense in the NFL. So
Okay, worst run defense in the NFL. There you go. So yeah, and they're not much better in pass defense either. So like I said, it's a perfect game for Dak to come back, because the things that we have been doing the best at, they do the worst at stopping. So
yeah.
it's a good formula there. So I feel like that. Yeah, like I said, don't think Dak's going to come in and throw for 400 yards or nothing like that. But I could think that you're going to see Dak come in. He's going to have an efficient day. I could see him putting up 275, 300 yards, maybe a touchdown or so, and then Zeke and Pollard are going to go to work. I think it's going to be a big day for both of those guys. I mean, honestly, I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, I not trying to get too gaudy with it, but I'm feeling like maybe that we could see a day where Zeke and Pollard both go over 100 yards against Detroit, because I think it's going to be a run heavy offense against them guys. So
Yeah. No, I agree. Kind of like Miami. I went to a Miami game, I don't know, a couple years ago, and I think both of them had a 100-yard game. That was a big game. But I think, to your point, the formula for Dak in this offense is 275 to 300. We don't need 400 yards passing. We need them to be efficient and run the ball. But like my man Steve said, I did watch Hard Knocks. I grew a soft spot for the Lions. I think I love their coaches. They're all former players. I think Dan Campbell's trying to do the right thing. I don't think they have the talent. Especially offensively against this defense, against this line, against what they're going to see. I can't see how they're going to put up a lot of points. I think they might hang around, a little bit, and Dak might have a little rust, see how that goes, and but I think we'll end up pulling away and should win convincingly. Now, my man Uncle Cheech, the Vegas Insider, who's on our show on Monday doing his picks, I wasn't there. I had a firm rule: you never let Uncle Cheech pick the Cowboys game, so he took advantage of me while I was gone and took the Cowboys giving 7. So if something happens bad, you won't see Uncle Cheech on the show no more. I'm gonna have to send him out to the pasture.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if I'm not gonna place any money on him, because it seems like every time I bet money on the Cowboys, they lose. But if I was a betting man and I was going to be betting some money, I definitely feel like this is a game where Dallas can win this game by multiple touchdowns. I think it'll start out and it'll be a close game, but I think we will pull away in the end. And I think come fourth quarter, it's going to be a game where Dallas wins by double digits. So.
No, I agree. I wanted to, I meant to get in this earlier, so I know we're running up against the clock. But so the tight end situation. So you got Schultz, right? You got this guy Jake Ferguson, who's he's playing pretty well. We got the rookie. What do Schultz? I don't know what the injury is. I was listening to the radio today, and they were kind of saying that it might be similar to what Zeke kind of dealt with, where could have a problem, could be he's stop and go a little bit. I mean, what you're seeing out of Jake Ferguson, I've been impressed. I think that this might be probably going to be Schultz's last year. Absolutely. Based on being a free agent, and and again, you hate to say it, but it's a business, and you got a guy Schultz who's a rookie who's showing some promise. I mean, what's your thoughts on the tight end situation and with Ferguson? Do you think he deserves to maybe hold on to that spot a little bit, or?
Yeah, I mean, you want your best playmakers out there on the field, obviously, and I mean, they did give Schultz the franchise tag this year, so I guess we'll see what happens there. But man, we've got a couple of guys there with Ferguson and then Hendershot.
Hendershot,
Um,
yeah, that's the
both
other one. We
both
got we hit pretty good with them tight ends in the draft.
we did, and everybody there was kind of a debate in the offseason whether they should give Schultz long term or should they franchise him. Was it going to be would they sign him to a long term deal, this and that or whatever. And a lot of people were like, nah, I think let's see what these young tight ends can do. And yeah, I think that they've shown that they're they I feel like they're both block better
Yeah.
than Schultz. He's a liability in the blocking game. So in my opinion, I think Schultz is going to be one of those things where you're going to kind of see him in a rotation. I don't think just because he's healthy, you throw him out there, and that he gets that starting position back. I think you rotate those three guys out, you know what I mean? And run a couple of two tight end sets. You can use just, when Schultz is in there, you got to have him in passing situations.
Yeah.
I don't want him in there in run situations, but a couple tight ends in a pass situation, because Dalton Schultz still does have some of that ability to get down the field. He does have an ability to get open. When it comes to a pass catching tight end, I think he's good, and I think he'll get a contract from somebody. I don't think he'll break the bank, but there's going to be a team that'll sign him next year, and I think he'll have success going forward. I just don't think we should be the ones to spend the money on him when we got these two young tight ends that have both proven that they can get the job done and do just fine in doing that. So yeah, I like what we've got at tight end right now. It's great to have depth. When Schultz went down,
Yep.
no issue. It's just kind of like almost every other position, business as usual, next man up. And we got these two young kids and they come in and they've been playing great.
No, they have, and again, to the finance, to what you talk about, we got CD, we got Diggs, we got Parsons. These guys are gonna be coming up, for contracts sooner or later. So, if you can free up a little bit of capital by youth, and like I said, it's a business. I personally wish there was no salary cap. I can't stand it. I think I'm one of those guys that, hey, you get paid what you're worth. If the team wants to pay you, if the Cowboys want to invest all their money and spend it all, then let them have it. But of course, I'm a
Yeah.
Cowboys fan. If I was a fan of Jacksonville, I'd probably be pissed off. But as a Cowboys, I know spend that money a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I'm excited with these young guys. Tyler Smith. You talked about the one that kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I saw him play a lot in college, and maybe he's just having a trouble transitioning. But I had a lot of high hopes for Jalen Tolbert, and man, it's just. You can't, you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss on on a draft pick, that early,
Yeah.
receiver. I mean, thankfully, Sam Williams he's kind of probably exceeded some people's expectations from early play. A lot of people thought he was a project, but he's
Yeah.
turned into be a situational guy that's been well. But what's your thoughts on Jalen Tolbert? Are you giving up on him yet, or you kind of?
Well, I wouldn't, not just yet. I mean, he's still relatively young. Some people, come along at, obviously we expected him with the injuries at wide receiver and the lack of depth there afterwards. We kind of expected him to come out and be able to contribute right away. But, not everybody catches on, at the same pace. So, some people's learning curve is a little bit different than, others. So, that may be one of those deals where it takes him a little bit more time to blossom, being that he's on a rookie contract. That we have that luxury to see if he does. And if not, then then you cut ties and move on from him. But I'm not ready to throw the flag or throw the towel in just yet on him. I think give him this year, give him an off season next year, another full off season next year, see what he comes into training camp looking like. But I mean, yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy that the spotlight's on him, the eyes are on him, and rightfully so, because he was a fairly early draft pick. But yeah, I've been a little bit disappointed by him as well. But like I said, learning curve is different for different strokes for different folks. So hopefully he can catch on with us.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good kid. My buddy, his son he plays at Alabama now. He's quarterback, and they spoke so highly of him. I watched a lot of his games, so I saw him play, and maybe there's something to be said. He's just making it maybe that transition to the NFL is just maybe taking him a little bit longer than others. So, but anyway, the one thing I want to do before we get out of here, and I meant to say it earlier, is Kelly, you and I heard it. you and I heard these Philly fans after the game. They got riled up. They're out there hollering our name. You hear what I'm saying? They're hollering our name after that game. When last time at AT&T, you and I spent more money partying with Cowboys Nation on spilled liquor than they made. So we're going to handle that business coming soon. And you and I got to get together because that hype video that we did, it didn't work out, but I had such a great time. It was so much fun. And hopefully we'll get you out to AT&T, together because we definitely definitely need to link up again.
Absolutely, yeah. And then next time we gotta have a different outcome, man. I've been unlucky both times I've been out there, man, and I've been out more than once. Everybody that follows me, they're like, man, you ain't ever seen them win. Every time you go out there, they lose, and I'm like, I've seen them win at AT&T.
Seen them win, right?
I've been to a couple of wins, so I'm not a jinx. I can go out there and see. But the last two times, yes, I've been unlucky. But I mean, hey, it was Tampa Bay, and then obviously the Broncos. That thing was kind of unforeseen, but whatever, man. Next time we come out there, it's going to be different. We'll definitely be bringing the hype as always.
We'll definitely make the plan because we got to do that again. It was so, that's why I try and tell these Cowboy, the haters is, the experience and the camaraderie, with all this stuff with social media. When I was growing up, we didn't have this, right? And
yeah,
maybe you didn't either. I don't know how old you are, but I'm getting into that late 40, passing over 45 kind of territory. So we didn't have any of this. So being a Cowboys fan in Fort Lauderdale, I didn't have anyone to hang, talk to. There was no, there was no internet. And what this has been able to do is, to meet people like you and Jay Tuck and Nix and Doug, and I'm going to leave people out, so I don't want to keep going down names, but I've met so many people in Cowboys Nation through social media. We hang out at the games. We're tailgating. A lot of you guys, obviously, I consider friends. We get that bond. We kind of talk a lot through social media or even on a show. That's why I just love talking with fans. I always tell people I'm not an X and O guy. I don't sit there and I'm not studying film. If you're watching this channel and you want me to break down, all these blogs, I watch with my eyes. I can give you my vision on the game, but that's what I think has been so cool. I don't know, you lived in Texas a little bit, but you're not there now. So I don't know if you had the same experiences as I did, or do you appreciate kind of where it's at now? But it's a special bond with Cowboys because we get shit on and we get a lot of stuff. And we're like that little pack. We could talk about our team, but if someone from the outside does, it's on.
No, and so when I was down in Texas, I mean, having the Cowboys on locally and being able to watch them local and not having to worry about streaming and this or that. I always had a bunch of Cowboys fans at the house watching. But when I moved up here, to Nebraska in 2014. I didn't get a Twitter till 2015. And that's when I really started kind of, getting into finding this, Cowboys Nation online and, starting to make connections and, drop some videos and stuff. Cause I used to drop videos on my Facebook all the time and, do it, but it's for obviously a smaller audience and stuff. So then when I did it on, Twitter, it just kind of developed. And like you said, you start forming these bonds and these connections with people. And, it's been a good feeling because it feels like you've got, you've got this family of Cowboys fans, that kind of like riding with you all the time. So, I always, tell these, these people that come on, the haters that want to, talk shit after a loss and all that. And I'm just like, I don't know what you are thinking you're going to accomplish here because like, I'm still going to be here next week. I'm still going to be here the next week and then the next week. And like, I'm not going nowhere. Like, it doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how you come at me, what insult you give me. You can call me corny and this and that, whatever the hell they want to bring up and shit. It's like, I'm not going to quit doing what I do because I mean, that's me. That's my passion for it. Just like you got that passion for it. And you know what? The only people that we give a shit about is Cowboys Nation. Everybody on the outside right there, if it's ain't hearing that noise, keep on talking.
I always say I'll do my videos as long as my legs and the back can take it, or until Cowboys fans finally say, all right, enough. We're tired of it. But I enjoy it. Like I said, it just how it is. We both work. You stress a job. This is my getaway. This is like my
absolutely
like my stress relief. I do this and interact. So no, I really enjoy it. And again, I appreciate the friendship and everything that we've had through the years and kind of, We're like yin and yang. If people love me, they love you. I saw you got in trouble for some language, and some people got upset about it. But it's the same thing I tell people. If you think I'm, stupid, you think I'm an idiot, you don't have to watch. You don't even have to comment. I never understand why people comment on things. I never do. But and
right.
if people don't like the language and the passion that you show, then just don't watch. Just mute you. That's the beauty of Twitter. You can block people, you can mute them, you can do all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I love the natural, and I think that's what makes you authentic is the natural, emotion, the passion. You can see it when you talk, and I think that's always what's real. And that's why if there's one thing that offended me is when someone said Skip Bayless, because he's so fake. It's just
Yeah.
it's that. So
Yeah, he absolutely. He's one of those guys that you can tell he's not. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, I've always thought it was corny, but the whole thing where he started throwing his jersey in the trash. Man, I've been a fan since '92, and I've seen some of the worst teams of the Cowboys since then. Never once have I even considered throwing my jersey in the trash or any of my Cowboy shit. Like that's just
never.
That's just dumb shit right there. You see that and you're just like, that dude's a clown. That's
Yeah.
clown behavior.
Yeah, and when you say, I'll get talking forever, so I apologize. But when the other thing that it just bothers me is they're like, "Well, you guys always think you're going to the Super Bowl. You're gonna, man, what the hell are you supposed to?" But I mean, really,
Right.
what are you supposed to? I want to win every game. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a realist. I know we're not going to win every game, and
Yeah.
if my money was on the line, I'd probably pick some other games that we're not going to win. But I watched the game because I think we're going to win. I want to win.
Yeah.
I mean, what the
Yeah.
hell? I mean, I don't. If I'm a Jets fan, I want to win. So
Yeah.
I never understand, that part. Well, God, you said you were going to win and you didn't. Well, shit, I thought we were going to win.
I mean, what fun is it going into a game saying, yeah, we're going to get our heads beat in every week. We don't stand a chance. We're never going to lose. We're never going to win. We're just awful. Like, I mean, I don't get that notion either. And they're just like, yeah, you Cowboys fans, it's the same thing every year. You're talking about you're going to win it all. And I'm like, really though, I don't see that. Like, I know so many Cowboys fans, and I don't know anybody that's going into the season saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. This year going into the season, there weren't many Cowboys fans. We were all thinking we were going to have, decent, but we were thinking it was going to be a questionable season, 10, 11 wins, but probably not make a deep run in the playoffs because we just didn't feel we were there yet. We felt like we digressed rather than progressed. And I mean, now look at us. We're overachieving. We feel like we're playing better. So now our expectations are up. And now we're talking about, hey, maybe we might be contenders now. So I feel like most Cowboys fans are pretty damn realistic. I don't get where that it's that same notion about when everybody said, oh, it's the NFC least. And I've gotten that for the past several years now. You guys playing a garbage division. That's the only reason you guys can make the playoffs because the NFC East was only down for a couple of years. Like the NFC East is typically a very competitive division. I mean, we have the most Super Bowls out of any other division out there. Like we got storied franchises top to bottom. Like, I don't know, man. A lot of these fans, I don't really know, or a lot of these haters, they just want you to be bitter.
No one said it about the Patriots in the shit division. They had the Dolphins, they had the Jets, they had the Bills were down, they had the Packers, the division that they're in with the Vikings.
Right.
You can say what you want. The NFC least sent 2 teams to the playoffs last season. Half their division went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And now they've got the best record. And the funny thing is the Giants only losses to us, and they still say we hadn't beat anybody. It's like,
right. Yeah. That's the craziest thing that I get. And I get that from people that are around here, live around here, guys that I go to work with. And they're like, man, y'all ain't beat nobody yet. And I'm like, how we not beat anybody? I said, we beat 2 teams, both teams that were in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So what? They're nobody. And I said, and the Giants
underdogs in
lost
those
one game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, and they beat the Packers and they beat the Ravens. Like, they've beat some good teams. So us beating the Giants means nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No. And that's the thing too, is you see it on TV. And I think that's what upsets people. But the ESPN and NFL Network. That's why really I've kind of I watch some of it, but I've kind of distanced myself some. I watch the content creators on YouTube. I watch a lot of them, for Cowboy stuff, because everything that on ESPN and these other, it's just to get ratings.
Yeah.
They've got to sensationalize everything with the Cowboys. So then what happens is all the haters. All they see is a Cowboy. All they do is talk about the Cowboys. And it creates hate, upon us, because that's all the media talks about. But all these guys get sucked into it. And the ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, I know a lot of people don't like him. I think he's funny because I know he's a shtick. I know it's a shtick for him that he's made millions and millions of dollars. So I think it's great. I said, hey man, this dude has made all this money off an act of really hating the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, really. That's
Yeah,
all it's a complete act.
Absolutely. And because you see when he goes down to Dallas, he's down there taking pictures with Cowboys.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen pictures of him hugging a Cowboys fan, taking a picture with him. Like, he don't hate Cowboys fans. He talks about, y'all make me sick.
Yeah.
But how many times they bring their show down to Dallas to do their show down in Dallas? At least 3 or 4 times a year, it seems like they're down there in Dallas. Oh, we're going to be in Dallas, this Friday for the show and whatever. They would started out their season down there, flying in Jerry's helicopter. Like, they love going down there. They love the attention. It gets the ratings. I mean, there's a reason all these shows, it's like, no matter what, it's like they lead with the Cowboys.
Yep. And Jerry loves it too. I mean, and that's it's just the attention they get. So, but anyway, I can go all day. I'll say one more time. If you're a subscriber, this bad boy, Micah Parsons, 11x14 signed picture. It's going to look good in the cave. I was going to keep it myself, but I was like, you know what? I'm a man of my word. I said we hit a goal. We'll do that. The next goal is going to be someone's going to be sitting with me at a game in the club seat. So that's where you got to make sure you try and get that one, because that'd be cool. We can hang out. But if you don't,
trust me, I'll be trying.
It'll win. I told you. You come down. You tell me today. We'll pick some games. Good schedule next season. I always look for a reason to go. We'll definitely hit a game up together. And we'll definitely check one out. So, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on one more time. Tell everyone where they can find you.
It's at Kelly K-9 on Twitter, and then it's Kelly K-9 _1980 on TikTok. So,
all right. Well, again, I love talking Cowboys, and even better talking Cowboys with a diehard, passionate Cowboys fan like yourself. So I really do appreciate you jumping on. It's this was good. I had to get a lot off my chest. I hadn't been in hiding, but I've been busy. So now I got all this Cowboy stuff going. So now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm re-energized. So I appreciate it. I'll leave you guys with a little, the classic. This is, again, for the giveaway that if you're paying attention, this is probably going to be maybe a teaser to the question that's going to happen. This was my first hype video I did. We beat the Saints 2018. They were undefeated, and no one said we'd do it. And I told my buddy that if we win, I'm going to drop a hype video. I'm going to send it to you. I sent it to him. Guy at my work said, hey, why don't you put that on Twitter? He said, and tag Tank Lawrence in it. That's what I did. Knew nothing about Twitter. I just got on there, and it got retweeted. And either if you hate me, then hate Tank Lawrence because he's the one who did it. If you love me, then love Tank Lawrence, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to Kelly K-9. So I'll leave you with that. You guys have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon.
The Eagles getting ready, because you might not like it, but you will learn to love it, because we are the best thing going today. Now, can you dig it?